Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Donald, good morning. Patrick, good morning. You need some coffee. Jacob, good morning. Donald is at the double bottom on the ES. Well, okay, there we go. You heard it straight from Donald. All right, how is everyone doing? All right, what do we got going on this morning? We had durable goods coming out. Yeah, strong numbers, pretty much due to Boeing. So that's where we sit with durable goods orders, and that wraps it up. Wholesale inventory is coming in line, so and that pretty much wraps it up. Besides EIA numbers at 9:30 Central, there is not much else today besides any headlines. So that pretty much does it for today. See, Amazon earnings tomorrow afternoon, going strong into earnings. Microsoft still after earnings report yesterday, up pretty big. Google's somewhat giving something back. Meta, which is after the close. Nvidia strong. You got some Visa, MasterCard strong. What else? That's really about it. Boeing, by the way. Boeing had earnings this morning. Groups, technology and consumer cyclical. So far, it looks like a risk on day. Oh, 76% for the 25 basis point. 1 week from today. 1 week, 78. Oh, up to 78. 1 week from today. And barely hanging on to greed mode. Let's see. Good morning, PMG. Good morning, Options 22. Christoph, thank you. I'm doing a bit better. Hey, Sterling. All right. So, where do we sit? We're solidly in negative gamma. Right now, we're trading 41.04. The gamma flip is 41.49. Remember, it gets peak negative gamma right around 4,000, just below that, just below 4,000. So now we are below that 4,100. Well, now we're right at that 4,100. So this is sort of an interesting area with the call and put gamma. But we shall have to see how that plays out today. Well, again, we had Boeing with earnings. That's a major one I was looking at also with the durable goods. After the close, we have Meta, Roku. Meta is the biggie. Meta is the biggie. And then tomorrow is a very, very busy day. But Meta will be the biggie. You got Teladoc for still, is that still a play for some people? I don't know. Will the bull market within this bear market continue to drag on? Well, I'm expecting a substantial rollover play coming up because of where cycles are. Yesterday, that was such a weird print on the NASDAQ for the close. But big gap up, especially due to Microsoft earnings. Now we have a gap left behind, even from the higher levels. There's still technically, there was one. Good afternoon, Charles. So, where do we sit today? Let's just get to the markets. Let's get to the markets. We already saw from earlier that Donald bought the double potential. Remember, it's still a potential double bottom, and it hasn't confirmed or triggered. So Donald is front running the pattern. If I can get my things up. And by the way, this is the technical peak to it. So you need a close above 41.1625 to officially trigger it. 41.28, 41.34, 41.41 right to a major prior breakdown level. And you can see it clearly here on the 4 hour. Now it is against the rotation zone, still on the 4 hour. So just keep that in mind. But it's interesting enough that would actually be a close into the rotation zone. And you can see the prior major support becoming resistance is the final target. So that's it. Again, fair amount of dip buying yesterday afternoon down here and this morning coming into this key support level. So that's where that sits. But if we manage to take out about this 40.90 level, my targets lower are 40.83 then 40.71. 40.71 coming in with the 200 on the 4 hour. What does that look like on the daily? Do not ignore in front of that 40.71 though, 40.78, because that's where the 50 EMA is. And technically we closed into this clear path. Remember, a move into a clear path is not a signal. It helps with targets, and the major target is 40.50. Now, we do have daily cycles at the bottom. We hit oversold yesterday. So we are going to watch on this. After this, I call the primary reaction. We're going to watch for the secondary reaction to see how much strength it can generate today. Good morning, Anissa. So, Sterling, with all the headline information, NASDAQ triggered the double top yesterday, but remember, it doesn't have to go straight down. We're at cycles on the bottom on the daily, cycles at the top, and rolling over on the weekly. So, not surprised to see a bounce. We still have some other key earnings. What's the technical stop level where the pattern would be invalidated is on a close above 13,190. A close above 13,190. All right, so that's what we will be watching on this little bounce back so far. No double in the NASDAQ on the shorter term basis, but interesting. Let me just bump this down. We start breaking above about 12,995, or you could just go to 13. Really, you're into an advanced clear path, and 13,100 is the next major resistance level. You could really go 1375 to about 13,100. On the rollover, 12,714 is the key target if yesterday's lows are taken out at 12,800. So first target on any rollover move would be, I'd use about 12,860, then 12,800, then 12,714. The Dow. The Dow, also no double. The Dow, on any rally, there's major resistance at about 33,790 to 33,800. Maybe you can go 33,810. Key support comes in about 33,511 to 33,460. I'd use 33,511. You can see all the reversals off there as the first area of support. Also, daily cycles trying to turn up. So we could see some bounce back rallies going into the end of the week, but it'll really be interesting to gauge how much. Russell also no double bottom. But Russell, key resistance now 1761, 1762 area. Support is back down at 1733. Pretty significant support. The VIX, after poking up yesterday, tried to poke up again this morning, so up into the next consolidation range higher. But if we start breaking below 18, about 1825, we could be in a little more sustained rally area. The DAX coming, still holding the bottom of the rotation zone, but I'm going to be watching for a close above there right now. Cycles at the bottom, so would not be surprised to see a little bounce back pattern here, but back to resistance at 16,000. The notes still 62.5, still providing resistance. This now with notes, cycles at the top. After this percent beat buy, remember that's just for a little bounce pattern. This would be, I personally would be aggressively raising a stop to trailing for any remaining position. But if we do get that close above 115.26, minor target 116.06, major target 116.19. Where do we sit? Dollar index. So far, inside day from yesterday's outside day, Still holding that 62.5, but we closed below that. Next targets down would be 170, 151. Yesterday's lows are going to be key though, so really pay attention to that. Still the rotation zone is holding. Look at all the pressure from the rotation zone. But once that rotation zone breaks, it could get interesting if it does. We're not in double bottom territory either yet. So crude, watching for the gap fill with this breakdown. We got the EIA numbers, remember, in an hour, 15 minutes, but we'll be watching for this gap fill. That's about it. To the upside now. You tried to pop above the 77 area earlier and back down below it, so that's the key resistance. Where else? I saw the comment on Activision where it got shot down. So we can take a look at that. Gold, still just trading in this consolidation area after triggering the horribly sloppy, lopsided double top pattern. But remember, these are just I'm just looking for these for potential buy reversals if it does get down here. What else do we have? The yen still holding a very key support. Cycle's now back at the bottom on the daily. So we'll be watching this closely. Euro, still this does not invalidate the daily double on the daily time frame. So it would need a daily close below 109 to trigger. Other than that, we're holding into some pretty key resistance. But what I'm going to do right now is this is where I really like to use the reverse harmonics. If we break above the highs of 110.76 area, 110.98 minor, 111.17. This has no pattern right now, just holding the rotation zone on the daily basis. On the daily basis, not much to talk about with the pound. Bitcoin, big rally, risk on. Bitcoin move, going to be watching upwards of 30,400 as resistance. Tesla looks like a gap up this morning, so on a rollover play, it would be the gap fill 167. Really needs to get above 166 before any real breakout rally, and that would just be for a partial gap fill. We want Activision, which is a big gap down here. So the gap filling the gap. The gap filling the gap. Also looks like it'll be interesting to see if it closes back below 81, because that would be a close below major support again. Then I'd probably be watching for the 77.50, and on the longer term, your key major support you don't want to see broken if you're an Activision bull is 75. Right now, it looks like it's going to open right around the 50 EMA. But again, not very positive for Activision. Can we look at Apple? I mean, Apple's earnings are next week. Apple's still holding the rotation zone. 163 is your rotation zone lows. I'd be watching right now just a slight gap down, but that's the support. If it breaks through that, you still have a gap left behind. But I would target 161.22 and then the gap fill 160.10 on the weakness. The resistance is coming in at 165.50. And we still have a potential double top in play, but it needs a daily close below what's the low? 159.78 to officially trigger it. Interesting enough, if that played out, you'd then have the 200 just below that. You're welcome, Heinrich. Let's see. There, I got your Jake ATVI. Let's just peek at Microsoft too. Microsoft with the big gap up. the big gap up. Let's see some new targets. Key is a 62.5, this 298. And then I would target, I wouldn't go to the 87.5. In this case, I would squarely use the 315 target because you have a prior double top there. So, but this on a closing basis, this 298.58 is pretty key. Where's this trading in terms of? Geez, it's just not cheap. 31. Wow. So we'll have to see. Can you look at Clorox? I'm looking for another strong defensive play for my retirement accounts if the markets roll over. Sure. Clorox, I mean, minor dividend play, your key support coming in about 157 area with the rotation. So any pullback to this is just coming back to a prior breakout area. When are earnings? Next Tuesday. So I bet if they were to miss or come down your key support, I'd be looking at this 158, 160 area for potential support. If it gets below there, the line in the sand that I would use to then say I'm holding off on anything would be about 156. Why? Because you get below 156, it could easily make a run back to the 200, where that 200 is pretty key support. You see a lot of prior support in there. So that would be my major line in the sand. It has filled this gap from back in February of 22 and finding some resistance. So yeah, I'd be definitely watching for a pullback and then reversal patterns down at this prior breakout level. That's what I would look at with the rising rotation zone on the weekly even. I love this pattern, and I love a retest of this because you see how it resistance, then basing. Look at this 3-week base and then the breakout last week. But you know, a backfill to retest that, as long as that holds, would not be a problem. And you have weekly cycles at the top. So this is where I would not be chasing it right now. I'd be watching for it, and it could be a couple week pullback and then go. Potential squeeze on you got it. It's 1180 where it's trading pre-market is where it's trying to break out above there. If you're trying to play it for a squeeze, let's see. Next, my target area would be 1440 to about 14. I'd use 1440 to 1450 if you're trying to play that for a squeeze. The earnings looks like a miss from yesterday. I did not look at that, but that would be key. This is not a strong bottoming pattern. Okay. So I'd have to look more closely into that. Thanks, Sterling. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So yeah, this would be if you're trying to play this for a squeeze. I'm just trying to look for some other levels. Yeah, here you go. So if it gets some momentum above this key 1180 level, 1264 would be minor. 1350 harmonic area, and then you got a cluster. 1438. That's if I was, and I'm don't have any skin in the game with this one. But that's the way I'd structure any breakout play to the upside with key target areas. This breaks back down below 11 bucks though, watch out. Then that could have sucked people in. Below 11 bucks would be a failed breakout to me. So those are my levels I'd be utilizing. Can you see Peloton? When are earnings on Peloton? Next week? I'm expecting Peloton to still hit 8 bucks again. 8 bucks is my key, one of the key areas, and it breaks below that. Look at that. 666. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I gotta get rid of my Peloton. Yeah, that's my key support area. If that breaks, watch out. Going into earnings next week, there's no fantastic pattern just yet. This is not a double. You're against the 4-hour rotation zone. You're against the daily rotation zone. So, you know, if you're looking, your key resistance is about 968 at this point. Other than that, there aren't a lot of great patterns. You're welcome, Jake. Yeah, we look at Altira fair amount. Again, it triggered a pattern way back when. It has a fantastic dividend. I've talked about this. The P and E, this is a fantastic play in my book. Because look, you're getting 8% dividend. Any capital appreciation is just gravy at this point. You have major support here. You're not overvalued. I love this thing. By the way, if you're looking at for targets, you know, this is just a longer term dividend play in my mind with 8%. So I like to look for reversal patterns on drops, and then targets 48, and then 49.41, then 50.77. Look, you got a still a clear path move up here. That's no guarantees, but that you still have some potential upside. Key support now is back at 45.80. Sterling loves Altira. I wish it was still called Philip Morris. Pep, why are you so fixated on gold? We got cycles going back to the top. This is a little bounce and then roll over again. This was a horribly sloppy pattern. Everything doesn't go to target. We'll have to see. It's going back into key resistance at 2020. You're welcome, Jacob. All right, I got to jump into the open. Let's just peek back at the S&P. Let's just peek back at the little pattern. Still a completely valid pattern. So be watching for that to trigger. Remember, if we do break down, start breaking down below 40.90, it could get a little ugly. But, oh, I forgot the spiders and the Qs. What was I doing? The spiders, yes, 406.90, and then right around 408 are the targets. The upside, major support. You still have gaps to this downside. The first, though, major support area, if we do break lower, is 404.25 area, and then to the gap at 403.70. The Qs trading 313, support now coming in 312.72, resistance about 314.20, and then you have a gap left behind to 315.95. I will leave it at that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Bye for now.